Hello everyone, what is up? Welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to take a break from RPG Maker games and we're going to enter into what is arguably like a 10 million times better RPG. Maybe except for Machias 4 series, I love that series, but this is probably one of the best RPGs to have ever been made, if you ask me. We are going to be playing today The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel. Now, I've been thinking for a while, do I want to do this? Do I want to try and play The Legend of Heroes on recording? Because this is a game, these games take incredibly long to play. It is definitely no easy feat to play them, let alone to manage a completionist run of them. That is probably pretty insane to even attempt. Yet here I am, and I will be attempting it today, just for you guys, because I am just that good. That's an obvious joke. Before someone tells me that I'm insane, or that I'm dumb, or that I'm a gloat. I know how people can be. Now, the simple fact is, these games are massive. There's a lot of stuff to do, and completionism for these is actually a little bit debatable. Because what does completionism really mean in these? Now I know there's no NG Plus bonuses for Legend of Heroes 1, so for Cold Steel 1 I mean. So, relatively speaking, we can definitely play the game. Now, if you ask me, obviously, max difficulty obviously means that we need to play Nightmare mode in order to count this as a completionist run. Now, beyond that, the question is, what is a completionist run? A completionist run would be finding every recipe, every fishing, every notebook entry, every book location. So that's what that would mean. Now, I don't think I need to point out that that is a tall order, right? That is a very tall order. But we are going to try, and we are actually going to see what we can do. Now, this opening section here is actually pretty cool. It throws you into the middle of the game, basically. We don't know what's going on, we don't know who any of these characters are. I think the first time you play this game, this is actually an amazing moment, because you're just thrown in, and you get the first name, Reen, so that's the guy that just talked. And that is actually the only name we're getting, except for Major Neidhart here. And I guess we get his name because he doesn't really matter. And I'm going to try and like pair in some speedrun tips as well as playing the game. Now, there's a couple simple things that you can do in these games that actually let you speedrun the game pretty easily. Now, first of all, let's take a look at our party. Our party currently consists of Reen, Emma, Jusis, Sarah, Laura, and Gaius, who are a couple characters. One of the things you can pretty easily do is you can swap Laura in. And then here come the tips. So in this game, if you tap the L1 button, you'll actually switch which party member is leading. Now, that is relevant for a lot of reasons. There's also a turbo mode, by the way. This is an innate turbo mode, so it's not something that you hack in. It's just, this is part of the game. And we're going to be fighting these archaisms, as they're called. Now, if you see me mess up the controls, that would be because the later games of the series basically use shortcut controls instead of the cycle menu, which means that it's pretty easy to like accidentally get used to that instead. But as time progresses, we will get used to this again. It's whatever. So in short, the way that you just kind of waltz through these fights is pretty easy. The only thing you have to really do is get rid of the enemies. Now for this section of the game, it's not relevant yet because nothing you do here will store. It's just a little prelude to throw you into the game. Nothing about. First of all, we'll see this event again, and second of all, you know, there's nothing here. Now, as I was saying, the beauty of this part is that it's perfect for speedrunning because if you toggle your character, you will actually dodge the fight because the enemies that try to lock onto you will just. I don't remember how to open the map in this one. How do you open the map in this one? Right, start. Anyways, like I said, there is nothing in here, so there's no real reason to stick around either. We can recover our health here, and then once we're out here, we're actually going to enter the main event. And then these are the things that we're actually trying to stop, these railway cannons. Although there's not much to say about this because we're just going to have one more fight here and then the section will be done. Like I said, there is literally nothing you can mess up about this. You can use Reen's Motivate to attack buff the entire team, and then you can use Radiant Wings on Laura to make sure that that works, and then Noble Command on Jusis to boost up the last bit. I think there's no way to actually hit both of these except with Flash, so we're gonna use Flash. Now, on hard mode, these things are definitely not particularly easy, but they're also not particularly hard. Mainly because they're actually weak to ATB reduction. Well, weak is maybe not the right word, but you can ATB reduce them, which means that you can do pretty good damage to both of them. You can also freeze them, which is also pretty good. If you want to do this as fast as possible, you basically just want to defense break and then start spamming them. But this strategy on Nightmare does work. Autumn Leaf Cutter also works to reduce their ATB further if you get a little bit lucky. But all around, as long as you apply some ATB reduction strategies, I think a couple of reductions is actually enough to last you the whole fight. This thing will take some damage because he was affected by the freeze, so he will take some freeze damage. And there we go. Okay, so that's the fight done. Actually, just gonna skip through this dialogue here because it really doesn't matter. It's not part of the main game. The game starts now. 5 months earlier. So we're zone 400 cells. These games actually use their own system of metrics, how far stuff is and stuff. It's cells and then a couple other stuff. Arsh and cells, I think. I'm not sure actually how comparable that is to miles. So yeah, we're introduced to the train, we're introduced to Reen, we're entering the academy now. This is where the game really starts. If you don't know what the academy is, because this is the first time you're watching or playing a game of the Legend of Heroes series, maybe just go play the game for yourself. It would be my recommendation. This really is just a guide, a video guide, to help you get everything, or do everything. But yeah, you're introduced to this nice view, lovely trees. The graphics actually don't look bad these days. And then there's the other one, Elisa. Right, so the way to Thors. Now there isn't actually anything you can do here. You can talk to a lot of people, but as far as I'm aware, the only thing you can do here is get some atmosphere sniffing. I don't think there's anything you can actually do here. Mainly because you can't actually enter anything, since we need to get to the academy. I'll talk to her though. Whee! Okay. So anyways, what you want to do is you want to head to the academy, and you'll actually start encountering a couple people, among which, for example, her. Klaus.
お疲れ様です。士官学院に到着いたしました。ご苦労。お荷物お持ち。無用だ。無用と言っあとは適当に。 それでは良き学院生活を。
And here are the other two that we had to meet. Choa and George. Anyways, we need to hand over our weapon and then blah blah blah. Basically, the entire introduction is, I think the introduction to the game is actually quite long. Which is totally fine. It's not as long as some of the other games, to be fair, so that's fine. And throwing you right into the action at the start of the game, certainly allows for you to, like, have some... How should I say? It certainly enables you to have some action before this piece starts, before this guy starts talking, before you start having to do a million things of dialogue. Elliot Craig.
リーン・シュバルツァーだ。そういえば、ほとんどのシーンは向こうなあ。だがいや以上で以降は入学案学院における以上。
But, oh no, we don't have a class assigned in the guidebook.
はいはい。赤い制服の子たちは注目。どうやらクラスがわからなくなって実はちょっと事情があって、君たちにはこれから特別。それじゃ
とりあえずやれ。わからないが。
Okay, so, well, I mean, there's not much to it, right? We're just... So this first part is pretty simple. Now there's two things that I actually want to address. First of all, again, we're going to cover more in that. What does completionism mean? Completionism means everything. Everything is everything. So we are going to try, and I do say try, to actually get all the battle notes, all the treasure chests, all of it. Now, there is two facets to this. On one hand, I already have all achievements on Steam in this game, so the Steam pop-ups won't actually show. So there's no way of knowing it through Steam. However, the game itself actually keeps track of a lot of this, so you can actually use that as well.
それに
この学院の一学、それも各自。お、さすが首席入学、よく調べている。そう、5つのあくまで去年まではね。今年からすなわち君たち身分に関係なく選ばれた特化クラス。
I still don't get why there's no class 6. I like it as a joke, but I wonder if there's actually a reason for it.
身分に関係ない？マキアス・レーグニッツです。それよりもサラ教官、自分はとてもまさか貴族風情と一緒の
そう言われてもね。同じ若者同士なんだから
君、
別に平民風情が騒がしいと。
これはどうやら大貴族のご子息、その尊大な
ユーシス・アルバレア、貴族風情の名前ごとき覚えてもらわなくても構わんが。四大名門、東の黒い戦士を治める
大貴族の中の大。なるほど。
だからどうそのいいか。
いろいろあるとは思うけど、文句はそろそろオリエンテーリング。それって言った。そういう野外競技があるのは聞いたことがありますが。
もしかして。
あら。それじゃさ。
しまった。
よ。こらフィー。
I actually like this as an introduction because whilst your focus is drawn to Fee here, obviously, you can't help but notice that Reen also managed to, one, dodge the trap, and the only reason he went down is to save the other one, even though he probably shouldn't have. As we're about to see. Japanese games are Japanese games, I guess. Forgive me for skipping through, but I find this cringeworthy. I really do. Like, I don't mind per se, but I do think it's pretty cringeworthy. It's always been like the one part of the game that I actually dislike, that it introduces you to Elisa, who is a fun character, and then instantly reduces it to, oh no, here's a slapstick joke. It is what it is. But I will admit that I'm not particularly fond of this. This is like the only part that I kind of dislike about the start of the game. Anyways, you can talk to everyone here if you want to. There's no reason for it. And long story short, we're being told how the ornaments work in this game. Slightly different from other games, previous games I mean. We get the Force Master Quartz, which gives us 5 CP per enemy killed, and it teaches you Firebolt plus some stats. Now we don't have any quartz to insert in that slot, so that's whatever. And basically we're going to be told that we're in a party with Elliot and Gaius as a little introduction. So Gaius uses a spear and Elliot uses a staff. I think you can kind of figure out the roles in this party from here on out. Anyways, so there's 2 things that I actually want to verify. One is, can I make... I cannot make a link yet. Can I? I cannot. Okay, that's fine. Okay. So... first things first, we'll notice this is a monster. Yes, this is a monster. Ideally, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you take care of one of them, or 2 of them, whilst you still have options. Now, you'll notice that actually it's not that easy to get through here. If that thing crits, that's going to be annoying too. Resounding beats, yes. That's nice enough, but I can't use any skills yet, so... So as you can see, especially initially, it's really not that easy to get through without losing anyone. Luckily, Elliot's skill does provide you with some passive healing, in the sense that it gives you regen, but it's definitely not that easy. So once you get through the first fight, it's not that hard. But having no CP and no access to arts is definitely not the easiest thing in the world. Oh my god, I forgot that you have to actually pick stuff up in Gold Steel 1 rather than it just being collected. Now you'll notice there is a little pathway down here that will give us our very first treasure chest with 50 sepith of each type, so that's pretty good. And then if we venture down... Actually, I think that chest right there is one of the most easily missed chests in the world. Because unlike the other chests, nothing actually forces you to go there. Anyways, let's give Elliot Needle Shot. Nothing actually forces you to go over there, unlike the one up there, which you are forced to actually get. Interesting. Interesting. So that might actually have been the first run killer if you want to think about it. Anyways, so like I said, what you can actually do is you can go behind enemies and get a double advantage from them, thanks to the way that the game works. And then we can use Firebolt. Do I have any items? I do have battle scopes. So this is the other one. You need to scout out enemies. That's how you will complete the other objectives in this game. Scouting out enemies and filling up the battle notes about them. Now, perhaps a little bit relevant, Elliot doesn't actually need to use any skills because his regular attack will also deal magical damage to enemies. So that's, you know, that's something. Amongst the other things that I kind of want to say before we wrap up, there's a couple bugs in this game where if you are using the turbo mode and you use ranged attackers and you use their symbol attack, it will bug out. Not sure why that happens, but it does happen. Anyways, this fight is really annoying, especially if you're speedrunning. It actually can kill your run pretty easily, because if you have bad RNG on this one, it really sucks. Now, I am going to use Resounding Beat on Gaius and myself, because I know just how annoying this fight can be. Luckily, Gaius can actually seal enemies. So, seal means that an enemy cannot attack physically. They can still use arts, but they cannot use physical attacks or physical movements. Consider it to be paralysis, essentially. And our dear Gaius here can actually do that infinitely as long as he has some craft points left, so that's pretty useful. Now, there's a lot of these guys, obviously, so we're actually going to start being a little bit more aggressive in taking them out, otherwise you can be here for quite a while. Now, Elliot is, if it wasn't obvious, the cleric slash healer of your team. Also a bit the mage initially. Initially, he kind of has a double rule. That should be noted. His Master Quartz, I don't recall its exact name in this game, but his Master Quartz is basically, it boosts all healing skills that he uses, which is why the healing was like full health right away. If you use a tier with someone else, it probably wouldn't do the same amount. Although initially, obviously, heals are heals. Alright, so as you can see, we're kind of just cleaning up now at this point. Yeah, we'll get another heal and it's fine. And now we're just going to turbo this enemy and finish him off, obviously. Alright, there you go. Now, importantly, once this fight ends, we actually didn't scan them, I just realized. Once this fight ends, we're actually going to get Machias to join us. Although, as you'll see, if we head to the battle menu here, we'll actually see that not everything has been scanned, because this guy and this guy has not been fully scanned. Now, that isn't a big issue. First of all, this probably helps me prove a little point. Enemies actually respawn in this game pretty quickly on the same map that you're on. Because if I head over back here, all the way back, you'll notice who else but this little flying feline has already made its way back onto the map. Alright, so first of all, we're going to throw a battle scope onto it. Second of all, we're just going to use Resounding Beat. That literally just dodged green. That's kind of stupid. Anyways, we're going to seal these guys up, because sealing them up is literally the best way to handle them. Interestingly, we still cannot use physical attacks on these flying felines. I guess that's just hard locked out, even if it's a respawn fight. Kinda cool, I guess. Okay, so now that we've scanned them, you'll see over here a flying feline scanned, grass drone scanned, and then the coin beetle has not yet been scanned. So we should probably head back and see if we can do that. Just so that we can say that this is definitely 100% done without any form of interruption. So as you'll see, this guy has not respawned yet, but what we can do is we can just enter here and then come back, and then he should be here. So there's actually two ways that you can cheese these guys. You can always go back behind them and then keep spamming the switch leader button, and that will eventually let you go behind them. And that will eventually let you go behind them and surprise attack them that way. The other method is that you can run a circle around them, and then if you run the circle long enough, they will actually you get the same result. If you run the circle long enough, they'll stop chasing you, and then you can get a free hit in behind them. Anyways, Elliot's basic attack is also an AoE attack, which is probably the coolest thing about Elliot. Because it certainly helps you clean up some of the earlier enemies pretty easily. Oh, he actually got countered here. That's really bad. Do I? Oh, I do have a reviving ball. Huh. So yeah, these enemies at the start of the game, I wouldn't call them hard, but they can just be very tedious because there's very little you can do about them in general because of the lack of, well, any kind of customization. Now, I could have come back later on, but I also kind of just want to fight these guys twice for the XP. Also, once their defense broken, it's actually a lot easier because their defense is the only reason that they're being an issue. Anyways, okay, so that's done. So you'll notice in the top right, you'll actually see the tactical bonus we get. So that's triple counter for countering 3 times, overkilling 3 enemies, first strike, that's just in general, and scouter. So that's gonna give you a lot of bonus XP, because all XP you get is basically times 1.5, 1.6, because of that. Alright, so now we can continue, and continuing is over here. And I guess I'll show you... Well, actually, I just realized we could have just gotten it from this guy, but... it might take you a little while, but you can just run behind him, and as you can see, that will automatically get you behind him. Now, the first strike bonus is basically that you get 2 free hits in, and then some. If you use art, those 2 hits might be all you get. I think in general you get 2 hits in, yeah. Now, I don't need Resounding Beat here, because you can just beat them at this point, but Resounding Beat will give you the HP recovery that saves you a lot of mana, saves you a trip back to the healing Orphan as well. Although I will say, in general, running out of HP between fights is not really an issue in these games, because you can always just return to the to whatever healing item you last saw, or whatever healing spot you last saw. So you can see here, we have actually done, and you can also check what they drop. So this one drops S-Tablet, Eye Drops, and Red Beast Flesh, and U Materials. So the Flying Feline dropping U Materials is interesting. It's probably the most important one. I wonder how easy to farm that would be here, just in case you do need some, but whatever. Our first goal right now is that we are looking for a very specific item. Now, there's also the Unscathed bonus, which is a bonus you get if you did not take any damage throughout the fight. It's pretty obvious name, I'd say. Also, if you attack with Machias from far enough away, you can very easily get these surprise attacks with Machias, because he does have a ranged symbol attack. Just like Elliot, but I think Machias reaches a lot further. This debuff here is Petrification. Enemies that are petrified will have a chance to just instantly die if you hit them again. Which is pretty nice, I suppose. Alright, here we go. So we have this guy chasing us now. And like I said, you can just kind of run laps around him, and then at some point he will stop moving, and then you can just attack. And yeah, this is the same fight as the one that we faced earlier, so the very big one. Now the cool thing about Rin is that he can kind of skim around the battlefield pretty easily, and Machias can use his ranged attack for gaining a lot of craft points really quickly. Kind of the same as Elliot. So together, after the first level, it probably becomes pretty easy to get rid of these enemies. I think the only thing they really resist is winds. Do they resist winds? I feel like they resist winds. Yeah, he takes very little damage from winds. So just in case you're wondering, you can double stack buffs. As you can see, you have Gaius's red defense buff, and you have Rin's normal defense buff. Obviously that is because you can double stack the defense buffs. Right, so we're gonna head up here and we're gonna meet the girls that went into the dungeon. We'll notice that Elisa is still very not friendly to Rin.
Emma です。私も辺境出身で奨学金だよりよろしくおね。
奨学金、そういね。
その必修の武術にも縁がなく。魔道術でもそうですね。 そなたも自己紹介くらいした方がいい。そうね。アリサ R。よろしくしたくない人もいるけどまあ。ルーレット。
大陸祭
That's what I mean, like, it was fairly... Like, they were fairly friendly right off the bat, and then they kind of ruined that. I really still don't like it, but, you know, whatever.
そういえばせっかく合流した。
そうだな。
いや、
それは
剣には少々自信がある。残りの2人を見つけるためにも。そうですね。
そういうことならお互い出口を目指しつつそれで構わない。
うん。アリサ、そうね。また後で。
不可抗力だったというのはまあそれは誰か一人くらいは。
しかしあのラウラと見たところ尋常じゃ。
まあとんでもない剣をそれでも
身長は僕より高かったけど。いや、レグラムのアルゼイド流、彼女の父親アルゼイド子爵は部の世界ではおそらく新入生では最強。彼女に勝てる人間はいないはずだ。
うん。
まあそろそろ俺だアルバレア家の。
そうだな。
Right, so we get control again, and over here we can actually head back, fight another set of flying felines. One of the annoying things about Cold Steel 1 is that if you press the turbo button in battle, it will automatically skip the animations. And there is no way to change this. There's no way to decide that you would prefer to see animations but sped up. Doesn't exist. I think it's because of the capabilities of the original platform that these were on, which I think is PSP, but I'm not sure. I think that just wasn't feasible for those systems, so it's kind of stayed this way. Anyways, they might have actually fixed that bug. I don't know. Anyways, we can slot Tyr into one slot, and I'm gonna give it to Reed, just so he can heal himself if he ever were to be the last character standing. To have cuff, you never know. With Reen, that definitely does tend to happen, so... Well, at least with the build that I use for Reen. Alright, there we go. So, in general, there's two ways to play these games. You have easy mode and you have hard mode. Within Nightmare, I mean. Because there's a lot of builds that you can make that will make your characters essentially impossible to beat. I am not particularly above it, but I do think it's boring. Anyways, Reen learned Motivate, which is actually an AoE attack buff skill. Pretty good.
Yeah.
結構鋭いね。
あの銀髪よかったと言っても。
私小が P クラウゼル P でいいよ。もう半分は超えてるからその調子でいけ。それじゃ
ちょっと
一人で大丈夫。
別に慣れてるから先に行く。
大した身のこな。確かに。
ああ。
So I do think the introduction you get in these games is pretty cool. The way that it introduces you to a variety of characters. And most of them have their own quirks. I won't pretend that it's like the most in-depth introduction ever, but I think it's pretty well done if you ask me. Alright, there we go. So obviously the fights are starting to be a little bit easy because I think after the first level up they become pretty redundant. As in pretty redundantly easy. Now, personally I do prefer to circle around my enemies that way. I feel like it's the easiest way to get quick encounters with the maximum starting bonus. It only becomes an issue when you run out of mana, like I am now. Because at that point only Elliot can actually hit these things. Although Elliot does a fine job on his own anyways, so it's whatever. Now you might want to notice, these guys actually drop a variety of items, and each one of these enemies actually drops a different set of items so far. The old schoolhouse is actually a pretty good introduction on that front.
すごい。
どうやら助立ちあれも帝国。
ああ。それもかなりの腕前。はあ。それで。いや。
So at this point, you actually get a choice.
ガイウス
ユーシス・アルバレあれだけの単価を切ったくせに大方すぐに頭を冷やいやはや貴族風情にはとても真似できない素直
その傲岸特にアルバレア公爵家といえば帝国さぞ僕たち兵
そんなことレーグニッツ帝都知事の息子帝都ヘイムダルを管理するそれがお前の父親ただの平民というには少しばかり大物
父さんが帝都知事だろうとうちが平民なのはか君たちのような特権
別にだがレーグニッツ知事といえばかの鉄血そして最初率いる革新派とならばお前のその露骨なまでの随分安っこの
So you can choose at this point which one of them you actually want in the party. Now, for the sake of just, you know,
気持ちはわかるがそちらも売られた剣
もうすまない君たちは代わりに
今のはいいっす親の話題を持ち出すなんて俺もまだまだ修行
え
なんだ
いやだってなのにそんな首相な
身分の区別はあるとはいえ学院の基礎
そうだけ
どうやら帝国では
ああユーシスマキアスは奴と同じ行動をするのも
どうぞどうぞ歓迎せ
やれやれ
I had actually forgotten that Elliot acts so rambunctious to it at first.
俺の番だ
Anyways, the fact of the matter is,
邪魔だ
Jusis. By the way, you can just run in case that wasn't obvious, but Jusis is I don't actually know what skills he starts with because usually I keep Machias in the party
俺の番だ
because Machias' defense break is actually really good. Impede and delay, and then oh yeah, right, he also gets the AoE spell. That is definitely one reason to keep him around.
僕の番だね
Alright, so Reena's kind of getting ganked over there, which is too bad for him because I need to charge the spell first. The seal might be able to hit a couple of them, but yeah, if any of them around him gets a turn, I guess he's dead. No, they didn't, so that's fine. Alright, there we go. Pretty nice clear, if you ask me. Now, one nice thing is that the camera in this game does actually, like, change depending on how many enemies are left. In general, you should always have a clear overview of all the enemies that are on the map. Double kill is obviously the one where you kill multiple enemies at once. And we're actually gonna get 388 XP for this one. So this is a really good XP for what we actually are doing. And then to continue, we just kind of continue here.
話しかけづらいかも
Also, in the early games, you can actually pick up items while they're talking with the active voice events. Kind of annoying. Also, if you recognize it, this is where Fee jumped up to. Alright, so we're just gonna continue, you know, down the path. There's... I wouldn't say that this is particularly worth it, these chests, barrels, and whatever. It's nice to collect them,
僕の番
I
だね
suppose.
俺の番だ
任せるがいい
襲い来るなら
So that's the downside of doing it that way. There is a chance that you just fail at... There's a chance that you just fail at getting the kill, the backstab that way. That's why running around them is technically more efficient. It always works. There's no way for that to fail, except if you're like in a really enclosed space, I suppose. It might be more difficult if you're in a super enclosed space, because at that point maybe you just don't have the range to move around them. But as you can see, you don't really need a lot of space in order to do it. Did I? Huh.
風上は取った
いいだろう
行くぞ
参る
さてと
行くぞ
行くぞ
任せ
俺の番だ俺の番だな
任せて
いいだろう参る
さてと
俺の
何参る
任せ
俺の
Now I think if you want to do a speed run, like I wouldn't recommend it because this game's way too long to speed run if you ask me, but if you want to do a speed run, Jusis definitely is the better pick out of the two because Jusis has better ATS, like better arts attack strength, which will help you actually beat the boss of this place pretty simply, really. Like it's really not that hard with Jusis. Whereas with Machias, I think it's not that easy. Or at least it's not necessarily that easy. Also, we get a free arts use, so that is actually really good. Free arts, I mean, I don't think I really need to explain why that's good. It's just pretty nice to get like a free spell off in general. Just in case you don't know, the bonuses that you get on the left top side are completely random. There is no way to modify them, there's no way to predict them, and there's no way to... Well, there is definitely a lot of ways to abuse them. But there's no way to predict them, so it's not like you can go into a fight and predict what's going to occur. Could be that you get extremely lucky and the first 10 seconds of the fight are just completely redundant because you got massive bonuses. Could be that you don't get anything for multiple hours. I don't think getting anything is possible, getting nothing at all is possible, but you know. You get the gist of what I was saying. There we go. And that is actually the second level up, which gives us the spell that I've been looking for Elliot. No, yeah, you need to go to status, that's it. Blue Lullaby, 30% chance to put enemies to sleep. We'll discuss why that's well, I mean, is that really that important? No, it's just pretty useful to have, I guess. Alright, so we're gonna venture up here and we're gonna heal at this. Now let's just quickly verify. There have been only 3 enemies here and we have defeated all 3. We did not, I think, find any equipment yet. Although we did find evade 1, so maybe we should slot that just in case. Golden sphere is equipped here. There we go. Alright, so this next part is actually going to be, I mean, you know, you've played games before. This is Boss Arena 101. So, Boss Arena 101, obviously. Here we go. Now, I can't help but wonder, where is the rest in this? Because everyone else was here at the same time as us. Well, was actually ahead of us. And there were no side paths, so that doesn't really make sense. So in this boss fight, you'll notice 2 things. First of all, Gaius actually has the insight bonus, which means enemies will miss him a lot. And Jusis here actually has ATS 1 bonus, which means that he will get bonus damage on his arts 1 time. Anyways, Reen's gonna use Firebolt, Jusis is going to use Airstrike. Now, this fight really isn't that hard. Because realistically all you need to do is just spam arts on this guy because of his innate defenses. He has very high defense, very low magical resistance, so that's just kind of what you want to be spamming against him. And then once you get him low enough, he'll actually migrate, so to speak, into this form. We actually get really lucky here. As I was about to say, he is not immune to burn, which means you can just burn him once he's in this form. Other than that, once he enters this form, you're supposed to start using physical attacks, because this is the point where he starts resisting magic attacks. So you're kind of forced into alternating your style a little bit.
任せるがいい。
行くぞ。
Oh,
ごめん。
he just got 2 turns. That
俺の番だな。
is really not that nice. Wow, Jesus. Okay.
ありがとう。
任せてくれ。
Usually doesn't happen that easily, but okay. I'm not sure why he got 2 turns and why he managed to crit kill characters. Oh, he used magic, right? Must have slipped my sight that he used magic. So when an enemy is using magic, there's a couple of things you can do. You can try and impede them. Or in case impeding them is impossible, you can try to somehow slow them down. That might also work. In this case, it seems like neither of those would work, so we're just going to move out of the way. Which, you know, is another lovely strategy. So Reen is actually going to be the only one that's getting caught by this.
行くぞ。
俺の番だな。ありがとう。
Squall is actually a pretty strong skill, it seems.
任せるがいい。
俺の番だ。
参る。
Now, it should be noted, Reen does have the Autumn Leaf's skill, which is an impeding skill. Now, impeding skills are skills. It might seem pretty obvious from the name. They impede the enemy from doing their skill and their charge up. So that way, you can actually stop him from using his
戦
skill.
闘終了。
Anyways,
先に進
Bag of Tricks is a bonus you get from using a lot of items during a fight. And we'll get the Poison 1 Quartz, which realistically is not that relevant.
いや、
力を。
厄介な。
下がりなさい。そこです。
君たちを。
追いついたか。
いや、
ガーゴイル。どうやらさ。
ああ。だがこのに。
よし、
お前。
動力銃のくら
あ
えい。
さい。は。たあ。せいや。今だ。
任せるがよい。はあ。
You know, actually not a bad animation for a game that's relatively old.
よかった。
ああ。
それにしても。
そういえば。
あ、なんだ。
皆の動きが多分。
ああ。
そう。アークスの進化ってわけね。
あ。
いやこれにて。何を正直。あら。
担当特化クラス。
身分や出身に関係。なぜ我らが。君たちが7組に一番わかりやすい理由は。
このせ。
エプスタイン財団とラインフォルト社が共同開発し、さまざまなアーツが使えたり通信機能を持っていたり、その進化は戦術リンク。先ほど君たちが体験した現象にある戦術。
さっきみんながそれぞれつな。
例えばどんな状況下でもお互いの行動を仮にそんなまさに理想。でも現時点でアークスは新入生の中で君たちは特にそれが身分や。
なるほど。
なんて
さて。
Right, so this is obviously the moment where people can decide, hey, do you want to stay in this class? Oh, the game wouldn't exist otherwise, but you know.
リーン・シュバルツァー。
一番の何か事情がある。
いえ。わがままを言っていかせても自分を高められるのであれば、どんなクラスでも構いま。
そういう元より修行中の身。
俺も異教の地から訪れた以上。
新入生最強の使い手にのっぽの留学さ。私も奨学金をいただいている身分です。
これも縁だと思うし、みんな。
魔道場のテスト要員もさ、アークスと同じくまだテスト段階の技術。私。あら、てっきりあなたは反復。確かにテスト段階のアークスがこの程度で腹を立てていたら これ別にどっちサラが決めダメ。あんた自分のことは自分。めんどくさいな。じゃあ参加で。はあ、これで斜め。君たちはどう？まあいろいろあるんだ。一緒に青春の汗でも流していく。
そんなわけないでしょう。帝国には強固なその問題を解決しない限り。
そんなことは。
ならば話はユーシス・アルバレア。
君のような大貴族の
勝手に決めつ。アルバレア家からしてみれば勘違いした取り巻きにまとわりつかれる心配もないし、かといってならばここでだ
マキアス古ぼけた特権にしがみつく。
面白い。
The relationship between Machias and Jusis is
そうね。
笑いご。
これでそれではこの場をもこの1年。
and I think that actually marks the end of the first game. Well, of the prologue.
ですがこれもひょっとしたら彼らこそが動乱の足音。
For people that played Sky and Zero, I actually think this is a great moment. Just presumably recognizing whoever that is. You know, I think that actually must be great if you're playing for the first time. Anyways, perhaps I should find a spot where I don't have 10 save games yet. Alright, so that is the end of the prologue, and we have actually been at this for quite a while. Well, not really, but whatever. So I believe that this is where we will be ending it off for today. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoy the little change of pace by playing a different game for once. Well, not an RPG Maker game, most of all. And I'll see you guys in the next one.